Ryan's office revenge.
He thought my credentials gave him the keys to brilliance. They gave him career suicide. I watched him build a presentation on 7 files of pure fiction. Then I watched the implosion from the best seat in the house. This is how I used patience and precision to dismantle someone who tried to erase my existence. My name is Lucas Stone, 49 years old, divorced, and for 18 years I've been the invisible engine behind every successful campaign at Summit Creative Group. According to my annual reviews, I'm technically exceptional but lacking executive presence for client-facing roles. Translation: he does everything, but we can't picture him at networking events. I've spent nearly 2 decades fixing disasters that would sink careers while watching younger people present my work to executives. Being the overlooked guy means you see everything. I've watched 28-year-old MBA graduates pitch my frameworks word for word. I've sat through strategy sessions where my solutions were presented by people who couldn't defend a single assumption. 7 times I've been passed over for creative director positions. The feedback never changed. Lucas needs to develop his leadership presence. Reality: Lucas doesn't play golf with the founder's college buddies. My divorce 3 years ago made things tighter financially. 2 kids in college, my son at Oregon State studying engineering, my daughter finishing her senior year at Roosevelt High, already looking at universities. The promotion I kept getting passed over for? That wasn't just about ego anymore. It was about tuition payments and making sure my kids didn't graduate drowning in debt. Everything changed when we landed Fusion Athletics. $12 million to rebrand their entire product line and launch a digital ecosystem for 400 retail locations. The kind of project that defines careers and gets written up in trade publications. Naturally, I expected to handle the strategy work while someone else took the spotlight. This time felt different, though. During our kickoff meeting, our founder Nicole Hayes specifically mentioned my name. Lucas will be essential to this project's success, she said, making eye contact. His strategic insight is exactly what Fusion needs. For a moment, I thought this might finally be my shot at the recognition I'd earned over 18 years. That same week, HR announced they'd stolen a rising star from our biggest competitor, someone who would revolutionize our client relationships. The announcement included a headshot of a guy who looked like he'd walked out of a consulting firm brochure. Perfect smile, confident stance, the kind of polished presence that screams never debugged anything at midnight. His name was Ryan Palmer, and he was about to become my problem. Ryan Palmer arrived on a Tuesday morning like a hurricane in Italian shoes. 31 years old, Wharton MBA, and a resume that read like consulting mythology. He'd allegedly saved 3 dying brands, led digital transformations at 2 Fortune 500 companies, and somehow found time to speak at conferences about disruptive innovation. The entire office was buzzing before he'd finished his first coffee. Nicole introduced him during our morning all-hands at 9 sharp. Ryan will be spearheading our Fusion Athletics engagement, she announced, while Ryan radiated the confidence that comes from never having your concept rejected in a live pitch. He brings fresh perspective and proven client success. Then, almost casually, Lucas will be handling all strategic development, research, and technical execution. Handling. That word that means everything and nothing. It meant I'd do the thinking while Ryan did the talking. It meant my name might appear in footnoted text on slide 47 of the final deck. It meant another year as the invisible architect while someone else collected awards. Ryan found me that afternoon. Didn't knock. People like Ryan never knock. You must be Lucas, he said, flashing that consultant smile. I hear you're the strategy wizard around here. The compliment felt manufactured, like something from a leadership manual about managing technical teams. He leaned against my doorframe like he'd bought the space. I'm excited to collaborate. I have some game-changing ideas about the Fusion project that will disrupt their entire market position. I smiled politely, playing the supportive colleague. Internally, I was calculating how many hours I'd lose fixing his game-changing ideas. It started small. Hey Lucas, could you send me the competitive analysis for Fusion's West Coast markets? Then, I need the consumer demographic study by end of day. No, please, no thank you. Just expectation. By week 2, he was forwarding client emails with only handle this typed at the top. The breaking point came on a Thursday at 6:15 p.m. I was deep into building a complex brand positioning framework when Ryan burst through my door without knocking. I need your login credentials for the Fusion project folders, he stated. Not asked, stated. I'm putting together a preliminary presentation for the client and need immediate access. Those folders contain working documents, I replied carefully. They're not client ready yet. He waved dismissively. I know what I'm doing. I just need to pull some frameworks for Monday's checkpoint meeting. Email me the credentials. Then he left, leaving only expensive cologne and entitlement hanging in the air. I sat there staring at my monitor, 18 years of being overlooked, watching my work vanish into other people's portfolios, being told I wasn't leadership material while leaders presented my strategies, my kids counting on me to step up financially. Something inside me shifted, not anger. Anger burns too hot, too fast. This was colder, more calculated, more precise. I opened a new folder on my desktop and named it carefully. Fusion Final Deliverables LS, my initials barely visible at the end. Inside that folder, I began crafting something special. Not lies exactly, that would be too obvious. Instead, I built beautiful professional-looking strategies that were subtly, catastrophically flawed. Brand positioning based on outdated consumer research. Market segmentation using inverted demographic logic. Campaign concepts that would alienate their core audience. Media plans with budget allocations that made no financial sense. Messaging frameworks that contradicted everything Fusion stood for. Each file looked perfect. Polished graphics, compelling narratives, data that seemed authoritative. But underneath, every recommendation would lead Fusion straight into disaster. The email to Ryan was simple. Here are the credentials for the Fusion folders. The files in Fusion Final Deliverables should have everything you need. I hit send at exactly 7 p.m., then backed everything up to my personal drives. The trap was set. Now I just had to wait. Creating those dummy files felt like composing a masterpiece of controlled chaos. Each one needed to be perfect in its imperfection, professional enough to pass casual inspection, flawed enough to detonate under scrutiny. I spent evenings after Ryan left, usually around 6:30, crafting my masterpieces. File 1, Brand Positioning Strategy 2025. The framework looked beautiful with strategic models and positioning maps, colors perfectly calibrated to impress. But the core positioning targeted suburban parents for a brand that primarily sold to urban millennials. The research citations were real but cherry-picked from studies that contradicted current trends. File 2, Campaign Creative Brief. Gorgeous mood boards and creative direction, except I'd based the entire emotional approach on consumer segments that Fusion had explicitly moved away from 3 years ago. The tone would feel completely disconnected from their brand identity. File 3, Media Allocation Plan. This one was my personal favorite. I used accurate media costs but allocated budgets inverse to actual audience presence. Massive spending on platforms where Fusion's demographic barely existed. Minimal investment where they actually engaged. Files 4 through 7 were equally elegant disasters. A social media strategy that would trigger immediate backlash. Influencer partnerships with creators whose values opposed everything Fusion represented. Retail experience concepts that contradicted their store layouts. And a pricing model that ignored their entire competitive advantage. But here's the beautiful part. I built each file with my standard naming conventions and digital signatures embedded in metadata, with timestamps showing creation dates weeks before Ryan even joined Summit. Then I created the real versions, the actual strategy stored in password-protected folders with comprehensive documentation of every decision, every insight, every strategic rationale. I also started creating a digital trail. Every time Ryan accessed the dummy folders, my background script logged it. When he downloaded files, I knew about it. When he renamed them to strip my initials, I had screenshots. Nothing sophisticated, nothing that would alert IT, just enough to build an undeniable timeline. Ryan took the bait instantly. Within 3 hours of receiving credentials, he was downloading everything. By the next morning, I watched him present my corrupted frameworks in team stand-up. I worked late last night developing these strategic approaches, he announced, pointing to visualizations I'd created 4 weeks earlier. The insights are revolutionary. Mason Brooks from Brand Strategy raised his hand. That positioning seems counterintuitive. Are we really targeting that demographic? Ryan's smile stayed perfect. That's exactly the conventional thinking we need to challenge. Sometimes strategy requires bold moves that make people uncomfortable. He clicked to the next slide. My intentionally disastrous media plan. But look at these channel opportunities. This is why Fusion hired us. I kept a neutral expression, taking notes like a supportive team member. Internally, I was documenting every false claim, every misrepresentation, every moment he passed off my sabotaged work as his own revolutionary thinking. The next month became a careful dance. Ryan would demand new strategies, always urgent, always last minute. I'd provide them from my special folder, each file a precisely crafted weapon waiting to backfire. He started sharing them directly with Fusion's leadership, attaching his name as lead strategist, occasionally remembering to credit me in footnotes as research support. The most telling moment came during a Thursday afternoon check-in. Ryan was showing Nicole our progress using my dummy files exclusively. "The strategic work is exceptional," Nicole said, glancing at me. "Lucas, your analytical depth really shows through here." "Actually," Ryan interrupted smoothly, while Lucas provided some initial data gathering, "I've completely reimagined the strategic direction. This represents a fundamentally different approach than what we typically deliver." I smiled. Ryan has definitely put his unique perspective on everything. Let him claim it. Let him own it. Let him build his entire reputation on strategies that would fail spectacularly under real-world pressure. Every presentation made him more committed, more invested in the fiction. He couldn't reverse course without admitting he'd been presenting garbage for weeks. Meanwhile, I maintained two parallel workflows. While feeding Ryan the poison pills, I built the real strategy in secure folders only I could access. The actual Fusion analysis told a completely different story. Genuine market opportunities, authentic positioning strategies, actionable insights that would legitimately transform their brand. Every framework was documented, every assumption explained, every recommendation backed by solid research. The preliminary review with Fusion was scheduled for Tuesday, March 15th. Ryan had already sent them the complete deck for advance review. There was no turning back now. The fuse was burning, and I had front row seats to the explosion. The genius of a well-executed trap is watching the targets spring at themselves. Over the next 5 weeks, I became Ryan's most dedicated supporter, at least superficially. When he needed files by 7 a.m., I delivered by 6:30. When he demanded last-minute revisions for client calls, I complied with a smile. Every interaction was meticulously documented, time-stamped, and archived. The IT logs revealed everything. Ryan accessed my dummy folders 73 times in 5 weeks. He downloaded every file, some repeatedly. He tried renaming them, reformatting them, even recreating them in new templates. But the digital fingerprints remained. Every action created breadcrumbs leading back to those original corrupted files in Fusion Final Deliverables LS. 4 days before the big presentation, I overheard Ryan on a call with Fusion's CMO. "The strategic framework is absolutely bulletproof," he assured them. "I've personally validated every element, every recommendation. This is unassailable work." He was standing outside my office, speaking loud enough to ensure I heard, a power move broadcasting that he was taking full credit. I opened my backup folder and reviewed the real strategy one final time. Clean, accurate, actionable, everything Fusion actually needed. Then I examined what Ryan would be presenting. A $12 million catastrophe waiting to happen, built on flawed assumptions and impossible strategies. The gap between reality and his fiction was insurmountable. That evening, I forwarded every piece of evidence from my work computer to my personal accounts. The logs, screenshots, email trails, version histories, everything. Then I sent a comprehensive summary to my attorney with key documentation attached. "For your records," I wrote, "in case questions arise about the integrity of strategic work presented to clients." On Monday, Ryan sent a company-wide email. "Excited to present our groundbreaking Fusion strategy tomorrow. This showcases Summit's next-level strategic capabilities." He copied the entire leadership team, the advisory board, and even some key investors. He was all in, reputation staked, completely unaware he was about to present 7 files of meticulously crafted fiction to executives who knew their brand intimately. I spent Monday quietly preparing. I wore my best suit, the charcoal one I'd bought for interviews but never worn to work. I tested my laptop's presentation mode, ensuring the real strategy would display flawlessly. I printed hard copies of the documentation trail, organized chronologically in a leather portfolio. Ryan stopped by my office at 4:30. "You'll be at the Fusion meeting tomorrow, right? In case they have technical questions." His tone suggested this was a directive, not a request. "Wouldn't miss it," I replied. He nodded, satisfied. "Good, though I doubt I'll need backup. The work speaks for itself." Yes, I thought, watching him stride away in his Italian shoes. Yes, it absolutely does. The Fusion conference room was all glass and steel, overlooking downtown Portland. Championship trophies lined the walls in glass cases, and the massive table could seat 20 executives comfortably. 17 people filed in that Tuesday morning, including Jordan Wells, the CMO whose questions would determine our fate, and Ashley Morgan, Fusion's CEO, a former Olympic athlete who'd built a retail empire through relentless discipline and precision. Ryan arrived 20 minutes early, working the room like a campaign manager. All confident handshakes and practiced small talk, discussing market trends and industry disruption with executives who'd lived it for decades. I sat in the second row as promised, laptop ready, watching him set up with the casual arrogance of someone who'd never had their strategy questioned in real time. Nicole and two other summit partners took seats along the side wall. The tension was thick. $12 million tends to focus everyone's attention like a laser beam. Ryan clicked through his opening slides with polished delivery, all smooth transitions and executive speak. Company overview, industry analysis, consumer journey mapping, high-level findings, all safe territory pulled from public research that couldn't expose the corruption underneath. He was building confidence, setting the stage for what he believed would be his career-defining moment. Then came slide 5, brand positioning strategy. The $12 million slide. The moment the positioning map appeared on the 60-inch monitor, I saw Jordan Wells' expression shift from polite attention to confusion. The strategy targeted suburban families with young children for a brand that had deliberately pivoted to urban millennials 3 years ago after extensive market research. "Can you explain this demographic focus?" Jordan asked, his voice neutral but his eyes skeptical. Ryan's smile never wavered, trained by years of consultant confidence. "Our research reveals significant untapped potential in the family segment. These recommendations are strategically sound and represent breakthrough thinking." Ashley leaned forward in her chair. "We abandoned that market specifically because it didn't align with our brand evolution. We've invested millions repositioning toward urban professionals aged 25 to 35. Slide 6, the Authentic Lifestyle Campaign. Jordan pulled out his tablet, scrolling through what I assumed were internal brand guidelines. "Your brief emphasizes work-life balance and family time. Our brand is about pushing limits and individual achievement. These are fundamentally opposite messages." "That's exactly the paradigm shift we're proposing," Ryan said, though I noticed his hand trembling slightly on the remote. Sometimes transformative strategy requires challenging conventional thinking. Slide 7, the media allocation plan. Now even junior executives were frowning, exchanging glances across the table. "Mr. Palmer," Jordan's voice had developed an edge, "are you seriously recommending we allocate 40% of our digital budget to Pinterest and Facebook parenting groups? Our primary audience engages on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube." "The data clearly supports diversification," Ryan replied, but his confident delivery was starting to crack. The room erupted into questions that came faster than Ryan could deflect them. "Why are lifestyle bloggers featured in the influencer strategy when we exclusively partner with athletes? How can you suggest boutique retail experiences when we operate large-format stores? Are you really proposing we compete on price points when we're positioned as a premium brand?" Ryan floundered, recycling buzzwords about disruption and transformation. Each answer dug him deeper into the hole I'd carefully prepared. His smooth consultant facade was crumbling in real time as actual industry experts dissected his presentation with surgical precision. Then Ashley asked the killing question, her voice quiet but lethal. "Mr. Palmer, do you even understand our brand positioning at all?" Silence. Complete, devastating silence. 17 pairs of eyes locked on Ryan, waiting for an answer that wasn't coming. His mouth opened, closed. Nothing emerged but the sound of career death. Jordan's voice cut through the tension like a blade. "Mr. Stone, do you have anything to contribute to this discussion?" Every head in the room turned toward me. Ryan went pale, finally understanding that his house of cards was collapsing. I stood slowly, smoothing my jacket, feeling 18 years of invisibility dissolve in that moment. "Yes, Mr. Wells," I said, my voice steady despite the adrenaline. "I do have some thoughts." My laptop was already open, the real strategy loaded and ready. "May I connect to your display?" Ashley nodded grimly. "Please do." As I walked past Ryan, frozen by the wall like a deer in headlights, I felt the weight of nearly 2 decades of overlooked expertise finally getting its moment in the spotlight. The screen flickered. His fantasy vanished. Reality appeared. "Urban millennials, ages 25 to 38, I began, voice gaining strength. Exactly the demographic fusion repositioned for 3 years ago. Returning to family markets would contradict millions in repositioning investment and confuse your carefully cultivated brand identity. Jordan leaned forward with genuine interest. These demographics match our internal customer data exactly. Continue. For the next 45 minutes, I walked them through the real campaign. Athletes, not lifestyle bloggers. Large format retail optimization. Premium pricing maintenance. Digital spend focused on high-performance platforms where their audience actually lived and breathed. Every recommendation was rooted in their actual brand evolution, supported by current market research and designed to amplify their existing strengths rather than abandon them for fantasy demographics. The room was engaged now, taking notes, asking smart questions about implementation timelines and budget allocation. This was strategy as it should be, honest, rigorous, collaborative. Real professionals discussing real solutions based on actual market data and brand truth. Finally, Ashley raised her hand, bringing the discussion to a halt. Mr. Stone, this is excellent work. But I have to ask, if you had this strategy all along, why were we initially presented with... She gestured toward Ryan, still frozen by the wall. That? I pulled up a new screen, my evidence folder opened for all to see. Transparency matters in client relationships, I said calmly. Let me show you exactly what happened. Timestamps filled the screen. Access logs, email trails, version histories. The flawed files you received were internal working documents, never intended for client presentation. They were accessed without proper authorization and presented as final work. Jordan scrolled through his tablet, cross-referencing dates. These timestamps match what we received yesterday. The metadata's been altered, but not very skillfully. And here, I continued, bringing up message histories, is the complete chain of custody. Who created what content, when it was created, and how ownership was subsequently claimed. The silence in the room was deafening except for the hum of the air conditioning. I'd laid out the evidence like a prosecutor presenting a case. Calm, factual, undeniable. From the side wall, Nicole finally spoke, her voice tight with barely controlled fury. Lucas, why didn't you escalate this situation internally before involving the client? I met her gaze steadily, choosing my words carefully. I documented everything through proper internal channels, but my concerns about strategic integrity have been historically undervalued in promotion discussions. I believed our client deserved to see the truth about what they were being asked to invest $12 million in. Ashley stood up, her Olympic athlete's posture radiating decisive authority. We need a brief recess to discuss this internally. Mr. Stone, please remain available. Everyone else, her eyes lingered meaningfully on Ryan, please wait outside. As the room emptied, Ryan finally found his voice. This is sabotage, he said, his consultant confidence completely shattered. He deliberately set me up. Mr. Palmer, Ashley cut him off, ice in her voice. I strongly suggest you use this recess time to consider your position very carefully. Once alone with the Fusion executive team, Ashley's demeanor softened slightly. That took considerable professional risk, she said. My job is delivering accurate strategy, I replied. I couldn't stand by and watch you make $12 million decisions based on fiction. Jordan looked up from his tablet where he'd been reviewing notes. 22 years in this business, and I've rarely seen someone stake their career on integrity like that. I want you personally running this project. Ashley nodded decisively. Can you deliver exactly what you just presented to us? Yes, but I'll need real authority, a dedicated team, and direct access to your people and data. Done. She extended her hand for a firm handshake. Should we invite the others back in? When the summit team returned to the conference room, Ashley's message was crystal clear and non-negotiable. We're moving forward with this project under one condition. Lucas Stone leads the engagement. No exceptions. Ryan's face went ashen. He'd staked his entire professional reputation on poisoned files and now had nowhere to hide from the consequences. Back at Summit Creative, news traveled faster than wildfire in August. Ryan was gone by 3 p.m., escorted out by security with his personal items in a cardboard box. Nicole stayed behind to manage the inevitable client relationship fallout and internal damage control. At 4 p.m. sharp, Nicole called an all-hands meeting. Effective immediately, Lucas Stone is our new creative director. Ryan Palmer is no longer with Summit Creative Group, No lengthy explanation, no corporate spin, just facts delivered with surgical precision. For the first time in 18 years, I wasn't invisible. Colleagues I'd barely spoken to beyond project necessities sought me out for real conversations. Others quietly shared their own stories of stolen credit and overlooked contributions. I wasn't alone in this experience. I was just the first to fight back with comprehensive documentation. By Friday, I'd assembled a real team of strategists who cared about substance over self-promotion. People who understood that great work speaks for itself when given the chance. The collaboration flowed naturally, built on mutual respect rather than political maneuvering. Fusion was thrilled with our approach. 3 months later, the campaign launched on time and under budget, driving an 18% lift in their core demographic while saving $2.8 million in operational costs through more targeted media spending. Ashley sent a handwritten note praising the team's work and strategic integrity. It's framed on the wall of my new corner office, the one with the river views I'd admired for years. Ryan's LinkedIn profile briefly listed a no-name startup that folded within 6 months. Then it went completely dark. The advertising industry has a long memory for spectacular failures, especially when they involve deceiving major clients with millions at stake. 6 months after the Fusion launch, I published a case study titled Strategic Integrity in Brand Development: Why Truth Matters in Client Relationships. It won the Innovation Excellence Award at the Pacific Northwest Marketing Summit, the same conference where Ryan had planned to present my corrupted frameworks as his breakthrough thinking. The irony wasn't lost on anyone in the industry. That evening, as I was wrapping up some quarterly planning in my new office, my phone buzzed with a text. It was from my son at Oregon State. "Dad, saw the industry article about your award online. Mom and I are really proud of what you've accomplished. Can't wait to tell you about my engineering project when I'm home for Thanksgiving." I sat back in my chair, looking out at the city lights reflecting off the river, and smiled. At 49, I'd finally learned the real rules of corporate survival that they don't teach in business school. Document everything meticulously, trust people carefully, and if someone's going to steal your work, make absolutely certain they're stealing exactly what they deserve. The invisible man was gone. In his place stood someone who understood that the sweetest revenge isn't just getting even. It's getting promoted while watching the thief get escorted out by security, carrying their career in a cardboard box. Some lessons are worth waiting 18 years to teach. I learned that patience isn't just a virtue in revenge, it's a strategy. When someone steals your work, don't stop them from taking credit for it. Just make sure what they're taking credit for reveals exactly who they really are.